Welcome to Lesson 4 in Unit 8, Putting on a Show with Light and Sound. In this lesson, students will work to answer the question, how can we use sound to communicate with people who are far away? In this lesson, students design a device that allows them to communicate with people who are far away. They learn how technology has evolved for this purpose. They use instruments to create patterns of sounds to send messages over long distances. Students figure out that messages can be communicated over a distance using a variety of devices. And students make connections to the storyline by investigating how sound can be used to communicate with their classmates during the puppet show without distracting the audience. There are several opportunities for ELA and social studies cross-curricular connections throughout the lesson. You can look for specific standard connections in the Unit 8 Teacher Guide. This lesson will take approximately 3 to 4 days to complete. You'll begin the Engage portion by asking students what they have learned so far about sound and reviewing that it is created by vibrations. You'll discuss that students can change the volume and pitch of sound, and they can put sounds together to cause people to feel certain emotions. You'll then ask students how they would communicate with someone on the other side of the classroom or in a different room, then allow them to think, pair, share. You'll revisit the driving question board and add any new questions and highlight others connected to the learning goals of this lesson by calling attention to questions about how we use sound to communicate with people who are far away. For the Explore portion, you'll set up the Communicating Across a Distance investigation. You'll place students into pairs and give each pair of students 2 cups and a 10-foot length of string. See the teacher tutorial for help setting up the cup phones. You'll allow students time to sketch their ideas for their device on the Communicating Across a Distance student journal page. You'll circulate and encourage students to refer to the Scientific Drawing rubric student journal page as they come up with their designs. Once students have sketched their ideas, you'll give them the opportunity to build their device and test it to see how it works. For the Explain portion, you'll invite students to share their findings from their Communicating Across a Distance investigation. You'll use the provided questions to guide your discussion around the question, how can we use sound to communicate over a distance? The goal of this class discussion is to share their design and explanation and identify how they can communicate privately across a distance. Use the discussion to create the Lesson 4 summary chart. By the end of the discussion, students should understand that they can use devices to communicate over a distance and to send messages between cast members or to communicate with the audience of the puppet show. You'll begin the summary chart discussion in the Explain and complete it in the Elaborate. During the discussion, you'll show students the video Evolution of Communication and talk over the vocabulary communicate, distance, device, and technology. For the Elaborate portion, you'll ask students how they think they could use an instrument to communicate. You'll have students get in pairs and pass out the rhythm sticks from the MySci kit. You'll ask how rhythm sticks could be used to communicate across a distance and model how you could use a pattern of beats to send a message like hello, or go, or stop. Students will develop a quick pattern to communicate with their partner. You can post and discuss the pattern vocabulary card and complete the summary chart discussion. For the Evaluate portion, you'll allow students to go back to their drawing on Communicating Across a Distance student journal page. You'll have them use their Scientific Drawing rubric student journal page to evaluate their drawing of how sound traveled through their telephone, from one person to the other. To support student sense-making across the unit, you'll orient students back to the driving question board. Ask, what did we learn about how we can use sound to communicate with people who are far away? And what new questions do we have? By the end of this lesson, students will have used materials to design a device that can be used to communicate privately with people who are far away, and explained how technology helps people send and receive information over long distances. In Lesson 5, students will return to the engineering design cycle to prototype, test, and evaluate their instrument designs. For the optional Extend, you can show the What is Coding video. Students will have the opportunity to communicate like a computer does by coding. There are also additional resources available to support this activity. For more information about this unit, visit myscipartners.com.